Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how to write a body paragraph in a literary analysis essay. So, yesterday we analyzed the poem Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. We talked about symbolism, we talked about tone. So, what I went ahead on, and just to refresh your memory, you should have it written down on your poem though, is that I highlighted all the words that have to do with day and light in blue, and that was symbolic of life. And all the words that are green was night, dark, symbolic of death. In addition, we talked about tone, and we said this tone was somber, sad, despair. You even could say loving, because he really loved his dad, and you can tell, right? So when you write your body paragraphs, today you're going to be writing a body paragraph about how does he use symbolism. Tomorrow you're going to write the body paragraph of how does he use tone. So today I'm going to show you how to write a body paragraph. Now in class we talked about how to do a CER paragraph. And I told you that you could really use that same model when writing a body paragraph. So we're going to go over that. But first, yesterday you wrote your introduction paragraphs using the formula HATMAT. That stood for hook, author, title, main characters, a brief summary, and thesis. I promised you that I would show you what mine would look like. So here's what mine looks like, even though you guys did a really good job with it. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. These words are repeated throughout the poem. Do not go gentle into that good night. Dylan Thomas writes this poem to his father, begging him to fight against death. Thomas uses simile, symbolism, and tone to encourage the readers to live their life to the fullest and fight against the ravages of aging and death. So there's our introduction. Today we're going to write about simile. We didn't talk about that in class, but he does use a simile in the text. So let's take a look. In the fifth stanza, he says that blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. In this instance, gay means happy. So he says, grave men near death who see with blinding sight. Again, as you get older, you tend to lose sight. Blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay or happy. So when something blazes like a meteor, I don't know if you've ever seen a meteor shower, but it's really bright in the sky. So when eyes light up with that light, we know that you're alive, right? So what he's telling his dad is that even men who know they're about to die, who are getting old, they still have a glint in their eye. And as long as you have that twinkle in your eye, you should live. So let's write that body paragraph. So of course, you know, the first thing that we start off with is the claim. Now, you're not going to go through and put the name of the poem at the beginning of every paragraph. First of all, it's a really long name. So we're just going to say Thomas. And we know that that means he wrote the poem, and that we're referring to the poem. Thomas uses a simile to represent a dying man's attitude towards death. So now we have a claim. We said, okay, the question is, how does the author, see, typos everywhere, how does the author create a theme in the text? So we've already have our introduction. We told the reader that we would be talking about simile, symbolism, and tone. So our first body paragraph is about simile. Thomas uses a simile to represent a dying man's attitude towards death. Now we have to go to the E, and we said in class that for good evidence, you need to set the context, introduce your evidence, and present a quote from the text. So let's set the context. Why would he be talking about a dying man? So throughout the poem, he introduces the reader, that would be us, to various groups of men. In stanza 5, in every stanza he introduces a new group. In stanza 5, so now I'm introducing the evidence, he explains that men who are near death, the reason why we put that in quotations is because that is straight from the text, and losing their eyesight, losing their, do I want to put, let's say losing their ability to see, could still have eyes that could, my fingers aren't working today, guys, that could blaze like meteors and be gay. All right, so now we have set the context, we've introduced our evidence, and now we have our quote from the text. Now we need to explain it. So Thomas is showing his father that men who are facing death can still fight against it as long as they have a twinkle in their eye. Remember that twinkles, lights, all that represents life. A twinkle in their eyes. They are still alive and should embrace it. This, now I'm concluding. Remember, our conclusion is we got to kind of reword the claim. So this simile, now I'm pointing out again that it's a simile, compares how do we want to word this? It says blind eyes could blaze like meteors. Oh, it compares life to the bright light in a person's eyes. Bam. So, let's go even forward because we got to talk about the attitude. This simile compares life to the bright light in a person's eyes and encourages his father to not allow his light to go out before it's time. There you go. So that would be our first draft, right? So no paragraph is going to be perfect. So what you would always do is go back and read it because you want to make sure that you're not repeating yourself over and over again. So we wrote, Thomas uses a simile to represent a dying man's attitude toward death. Throughout the poem, he introduces the reader to various groups of men. In stanza 5, he explains that men who are near death and losing their ability to see could still have eyes that could blaze like meteors and be gay. Thomas is showing his father that men who are facing death can still fight against it. As long as you, see, this is why you always read, as long as you there you go. As long as they have a twinkle in their eyes, they are still alive and should embrace it. This simile compares life to the bright light in a person's eyes and encourages his father to not allow his light to go out before it's time. There you have it. There's our first body paragraph. Now your task is to write the body paragraph about symbolism. Tomorrow you can re-watch this video and write the body paragraph about tone. Day 3, I'm going to give you another video about the conclusion. All right, guys, time to get to work. It's your turn.